Welcome back, everybody, to G-Bear's Homesteading the Desert. And we're looking at a bunch of water barrels. That's what they look like. That's what they are. Yeah, these are all the larger barrels I had around the area. And I transferred all of the water out of those into irrigation barrels and so forth and so on. Because today I had a truck come out and fill the tank. It is topped off right to the top. And I figured that while I was here, I was going to have them fill up these barrels, because the situation was the company I had come out comes from Little Rock, California, and they had to travel a long distance. So they won't come out with anything less than a full load. And that was 3,700 gallons. Well, my tank's only 25. So there's an extra 1,200 gallons in that truck that I have no place to put. And the last guy that filled the tank, his truck had a 2-inch filler pipe on it, so a filler hose. So I was thinking that, well, I can get him to fill the tank and then fill all these barrels, and then I'll have a backup here for irrigation. But the guy that showed up this time, his truck had a 3-inch fill hose, so it was no way you're going to be able to fill these barrels. And so I just had him top that one off, and while he was doing that, I was running the garden hoses and I watered all my plants, and I filled up my big white barrel down there at the garden shed, and all my blue barrels are all full over there, and my two blue barrels by the outdoor shower are both full now. But that's as far as I got before he showed up and started pumping water in. And it didn't take him long with a 3-inch line. He was in and out of here in 20 minutes, 25 minutes or so. So I couldn't get these barrels filled. So down the line, what I'm going to do is every time I take a trip, I always bring some 20-gallon barrels with me. I've got 3 full ones here right now. And I'll bring those up tomorrow, and I'll pump those into my clean water barrels, which are these 3 right here tied with the ropes. And then these 2 here are also clean water barrels. Those 3 over there, I haven't washed out yet, but I will do that. And then these will all be clean water barrels. Then I'm going to keep bringing water whenever I get a chance, and I'll top all of these barrels off, and that'll be a backup. So as my big tank starts going down in water level, then I'll just use my transfer pump to pump this back up into the tank, so the tank will last a little bit longer. Down the line, what I'd like to do is get a second tank, and since the truck that comes out is a 3,700 gallon tank and I got 25 here, so I only need a 1,200 gallon backup tank. And I could use that one just for irrigation alone and keep this big one for washing and all of that, because I have this one filtered. The other one I won't have to filter. I'll just utilize it as just for irrigation, so I don't care if there's a little sediment or anything in it. And if I transfer it into this tank, it'll get filtered as it runs out. That's my sediment filter. That just takes out any debris that's floating in the water. Then, of course, down at the cabin, I have a 3-phase compressed carbon or charcoal block filtration system for drinking water and all of that. And it comes out crystal clear. That thing removes everything, bacteria, viruses, anything that might be in the water, it takes it all out. But it's supposed to leave the good minerals in. I don't know how they do that, but that's a pretty good thing. Anyway, I wanted to tell you what was going on here. I'm not going to climb up there and open the tank up. Apparently, something went wrong and my pump is not working. So tomorrow's first job is to figure that out and see what the heck is going on with that circulation pump in there. And if it's burnt out, I'll just have to go buy another one. They've got them down there in Victorville, so I can just go in and pick one up off the shelf, and I'll get that circulation pump back in there. And on this one, I did 2 parts per million on the chlorine treatment instead of 5 parts, which was strong on the first one because the tank was brand new and it had all kinds of manufacturers, oils and things like that on it. So I had to make sure that it was really purified, I guess, with chlorine. They wanted 5 parts per million back then, and that was a quart of chlorine that went into that water on the first load. On this one here, 15 ounces of chlorine is in that whole 2,500 gallon tank. But that'll kill any bacteria that might be in the water, so that's a good thing. All right, I just wanted to cover that with you. And this guy was also impressed that I had a staircase going up here. It made it real easy for him to just stand up there and keep an eye on the flow as it went into the tank. All right, you can see I've got a little breeze that's just enough to make the flag move and turn the turbine so it faces the direction of wind, but not enough to spin it. And that's the way today has been. So it's been a expensive, wasted day. Oh, by the way, the extra water in the truck did not just go to waste, did not go on the ground or anything. I sold it to my neighbors up the ways here. I contacted them this morning through comment section of my yesterday's video, and I told them that I had a water truck coming out with more water than I could handle, so they agreed to buy the rest off of me. So it came out to about 8 cents a gallon, and so their part of it was around 90 or 95 bucks or something like that. And I think it was 96 bucks total, but I'm not worried about the few dollars here and there. I just happy that I got to recover some. So he went up there and finished dumping the load up there on 2 of the neighbors, I guess. And I'm just waiting to hear back from them, and they will square off with me. That's the easiest way to do it, rather than me pay a partial to the truck driver, them pay a partial to the truck driver, so forth and so on. All right, well, I guess that'll work 2 ways too. So as my tank starts getting a little bit low and one of them up there calls for a fill, then the truck is going to have extra water in it. So when it comes back down to me, it'll fill my tanks after theirs is filled with whatever he's got left over, and I'll just pay them for the difference. So working together out here homesteading the desert. I just had the girls out. They're all back in now. They've had their feeds and all of that. And I got all my plants watered today. And everything's back to normal here. So tomorrow is back to construction and getting this bedroom fixed and getting the bathroom ceiling in and things like that, so that I can close this thing up, move my bed into the bedroom, and move on from there. G-Bear signing off.